So yeah, this is, so I'm not very domestic. So I actually, my freezer is just solely for frozen roadkill. So there's no actual food in there. But yeah, so that works out well because I'm not domestic and I don't cook. Sometimes if I'm doing like a little mouse or something, and if he is a little bit off and he has like a funny smirk on his face, then I will make him, I kind of will base the character around. They aren't like, you know, like very, very professional. Yeah, so I try to get my feet wet and learn from other people, but I quickly found that not a lot of people wanted to kind of tell me about, you know, the art and the different skills that go into it. So I just taught myself. I got some books. I watched a lot of like YouTube videos and just taught myself how to do it. So my taxidermy is different. Well, I use animals and they don't necessarily do it in taxidermy studios. So all of my rats and mice are ethically sourced. So I get them at you know, like pet supply stores, and they're for large feed like snakes and big reptiles. So there's, you know, that ethical standpoint, and I find a lot of my pieces. I actually, all of my squirrels I have found in Salem and Beverly. A lot of people, like customers, will come in and tell me like, oh, I just found a raccoon. I just found a rabbit. The guy who does National Grid, he came in. He set up my electricity this summer, and he was like, yeah, there's a bunny on Cabot Street. So people just know me as the kind of the weird roadkill lady. So I love like repurposing and giving life to something that's, you know, that's deceased and, you know, was gonna be part of the natural decay process. But yeah, so I'll use my surgical blade, and usually it starts on whatever, I figure out what I want the whole scene and the creature to be, and I'll base my incision on that, because if it's like a woman wearing a cute dress, then I know I can make the incision, you know, from the neck down. And if it's going to, sometimes if I have like guys with open shirts, I'll make the incision on the back. So I'll just I'll make the incision like based upon like what the character needs. When I do that, I pretty much, might not be good at explaining this, but yeah, I slice into the skin. I try not to, of course, touch any of the major arteries and stuff, because as soon as you nick them, it gets really gross. But I pretty much separate the pelt from the actual like innards, muscles, and I'll go around and I do them in sections. I always leave the head for last. I also make the molds prior to that. I'll use almost like styrofoam, and I'll cut it into like a peanut form, and I'll measure it out. So once the body is just the body, and I have the pelt here, and I have all the innards right here, I'll base making my form off of the mouse body. So I'll carve it, and then I'll put actually different wires in it to go through the arms, the legs, the tail, and the top of the head, so it stands erect. So my shop's kind of in like a little towny area, so a lot of people who were to walk in by accident really are really surprised. Yeah, so I had one lady come in who was really, I think she was super hyper religious, and she got scared of like some of the nature of my pieces, and she then went into some kind of tangent that she wanted to save my soul, and I should repent. But but other than that, she was a little bit of a wackadoo. But other than that, pretty much I've been received very like supportive and in like a positive light. So